Kevin.
Hey Matt, what's
Hey.
going on?
Yeah. Not a lot, dude. Not a lot at
I've
all.
just been
I
I've just been in the bottom half of your body for a little while.
Yeah, no, I saw there was a funny visual gag. I'm not sure if it was worth the payoff though, dude. I've been
Hey,
sit
you work with what you're given, right? We've got the format of a split screen. What else can we do?
I've been sitting here fucking waiting for you to pick up the Skype call for. Oh,
It's been a while.
dude, I think it's been like 6 years.
Yeah, I've got
I went bald. I fucking I moved country while waiting for the Skype call. Obviously, I had to hang up at
I was
some
starting to get a
points.
sore hip after about 4 years, but then I just kind of got back into the groove.
Yeah.
So where are you living now? Are you in NZ?
Yeah, I am.
How
Living
things
in New
over there?
Zealand. That opening gag did not work well, by the way. It's just a shit idea. Welcome back to
You
FIAWG,
know what it
mate.
reminds me of?
Hey?
You ever watch Ninja Turtles, like the cartoon?
Yeah, back when I was a kid.
You know, you got the Krang, and he's in his exoskeleton suit, and there's I don't know why, but it reminds me of
Mm. I was saying to Kevin before we started the Skype call, fucking nothing makes you appreciate water like being hungover. When you're hungover and you take a swig of cold water, it's just like the heavens open for you.
that. Water underrated.
Yeah, definitely.
But speaking of water, do you remember there was that big thing in Flint, Michigan, where the water wasn't drinkable and all that? Has that been sorted?
You know what? I don't believe it fully has. I mean, it wouldn't be as bad as it was at peak right now, but I think they're still having issues. And that was actually one observation I heard about that, which I thought was kind of spot on, is it really highlighted classism. I mean, can you imagine? Because Flint is like a poor town. Michigan generally is a pretty
Sure.
dilapidated state. Can you imagine if, say, Beverly Hills had lead in their water? Like their water was poisonous. Children in Beverly Hills were getting sick.
A week later to be fixed.
It would be fixed in days, dude. There's no fucking
Yep.
way it would go on for months. There's just no
Yep,
way.
absolutely.
You can't imagine that.
Yeah, well, this is true all over the world in for all different situations.
Yeah, no, totally.
But was it actually undrinkable? I think it was just like it looked
Well,
not
there's that
appealing.
famous video of Obama drinking the water, and people got really pissed
Hmm.
off at him because it was kind of it was as if he was insinuating basically there was no problem.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you drunk it, you died, but some people were getting sick, so it was definitely a health hazard.
Superpowers or no?
Sorry,
Did anyone drinking get superpowers?
I don't believe so. I don't. I
Because
don't think anyone
I
turned
find it a
green
bit
and started,
strange.
yeah, ripping down buildings or anything.
Well, like maybe half a year after, I don't know when, but just after it, there was that Aquaman movie, right? So maybe that's how he became to be Aquaman.
Possibly, Kevin. Possibly.
So life in NZ, how's it different to life in AU?
No, it's very similar at the moment with the old pandem over there. I guess you guys are still in lock.
That's still going on.
Yeah, yeah. No, we're still quite shuttered. Although, are you guys still in like ultimate lockdown, like as strict as it gets, or have you started loosening up?
No, I'm. Last time you saw me, I was in the city. I moved like about an hour and a half north,
Yeah.
and over here, no one's on lockdown. No one even knows what's going on. Just
Oh,
chilling.
really? In the coast, they don't go with that.
No, not at
It's
all.
just the cities.
I assume so. Yeah, I've been into the city a few times, and there's like no one around, so I assume they've been locked down stuff. But I don't really catch up on when there's a new warning or whatever. I don't know.
Okay, right.
No idea.
Yeah, I saw kangaroos were like jumping through Melbourne the other day because there's like fucking no one
Nice.
around, so the animals are starting to get arrogant and
That's
take advantage
that's
of
dope.
everything. Yeah, so here in New Zealand we were at what they call level 4, which was like harsh. Basically, if you were not an essential worker, like in health or in supermarkets or in garbage collection, that kind of stuff, you had to be at home, and if you couldn't work from home, then tough.
Or what? What's the ramification?
Oh well, economy's fucked.
No. I mean, like if you were the local baker and they caught you having a round of golf, what would happen to you?
Fines, even imprisonment if you repeatedly broke
Ah,
the broke the rules. Now we're in level 3, which is a step down, but level 3 is actually pretty much what you guys have as your harshest measure, because we weren't even allowed takeout in level 4. It was like, if it was not essential, you couldn't do it.
Isn't food essential or no?
Well, yeah, it is, but the argument is like, well, supermarkets provide food, so you got to cook for yourself. Because pre-cooked food is viewed as a potential, a risky contagion kind of stuff, even if,
Sure.
Like, you can do contactless, but what if people are fucking with it and not being,
absolutely.
People are fallible kind of thing. So we're actually we're still even in our level 3. We're still harsher than you guys because haircuts still aren't allowed at the moment.
Wow.
So yeah, a lot of stuff locked down. Sorry for my throat, by the way. I'm just locked up in my house, and haven't been speaking very much.
Fair enough.
So yeah, long story short, New Zealand.
I think around here.
Huh?
No, you keep going.
I was saying, long story short, New Zealand's measures against it have been pretty severe, dude. We're taking it pretty fucking seriously. But it seems to be paying off. We've got some of the lowest numbers in the world, and I think that's per capita relative to population, because you have to take that into account, obviously. But
sure.
Yeah, long story short, it seems effective. We're constantly getting like 0 new cases to 4 new cases a day. It used to be kind of dozens a day, so we've definitely flattened that old curve from the looks of it, which is good.
There's not a significant number of deaths over there, right? Someone gets it, they just get locked up and then come back.
We've just got a handful of deaths. I think it's 5 or 6 or something at this point.
This is, I'll put it out there. Is everyone being locked in? Does that mean there's less deaths, like people getting run over by a car and falling? Does this kind of weigh it up?
Yeah, no? Totally. We had record low. I mean, I think no deaths for the first time in history over the Easter break on the roads.
Yeah.
Because New Zealand's obviously got a lot of open roads between various cities and towns and stuff, so there tends to be quite a lot of during the holidays collisions and stuff out in the open roads. But not this year because everyone's stuck.
Yeah, so if you're looking back, if you're just looking at the stats of what's going on, and you're like, oh, during this time period, it was.
You'd be like, what a great time that was.
Without any context, yeah.
Looking back in the strip.
Unless you're a kangaroo.
Hey, speaking of that's right. Kangaroos will,
They have a different view on history sometimes.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of looking back, the reason we picked up this show, Kevin, after such a long time, is I have just been, frankly, appalled at the media's lack of coverage of Flight 375, which obviously there are still families out there don't know where their loved ones are. And I wanted to be the one media outlet to actually treat the story with the seriousness that it deserves and keep those families appraised of the state of play of everything.
And a credit for you to sticking to your word. You said right from the start when we were recording them before, you said we're not going to drop this until it was solved, and
we're not. In fact, we're picking up the show, as I say, solely for that cause and to stay true to our words. So it's integrity, Kevin. It's integrity, basically, as well.
And you've got a lot of it. Yep. So what is the update? Where are they up to now with the MH?
They still haven't found it.
Oh.
Yeah. So we'll tune in next week and we'll give you another update on that one.
Do you think there's people that don't remember or
there'll be some people who were born, before that plane went missing, when that plane went missing, who will now be at kind of getting into music and stuff age, 7 years old, that kind of thing. Maybe not quite, but they're starting to become.
Let's say someone
real people.
Let's say someone was like 10 or 12. You're not really worried about things that aren't in your own backyard.
Yeah, that's true.
Now they're like 18, then maybe they don't know what it is. So It was a commercial aircraft that just vanished or something, right?
Yeah, it was flying, and then it fucking wasn't. Well, or maybe it could. Maybe it still is flying. Wouldn't that be funny if it fucking landed today? And the pilot's like, "Sorry for the delay, guys." And you're like, "Wait, what?"
We were waiting on the signal.
Yeah. But how did you not run out of gas? Don't fucking look at me. Are you pleased we're still around? Don't ask too many questions, dude. Yeah, that'd be good.
But yeah, still hasn't been found.
No, I still haven't found it. Area 51 has a lot of those too, right? Isn't that one thing about Area 51 that stuff just kind of goes missing over the?
Yeah, it does. Well, does it go missing or is it hidden? You know, about 6 months from now, if you look back, how do I say that? 6 months ago, there was a big rally cry of people on social media to go to Area 51 and they're going to bust down the doors and ransack it and see where the aliens are and all this. You remember that?
Oh, the event they were planning you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, Storm Area 51 or something like that. I
So,
think that was inspired by Bob Lazar, right? There was a documentary on Netflix about him, and Joe Rogan interviewed him, and it was kind of a minor phenomenon for it
yep,
really sparked a lot of interest in the whole thing.
yep. So it was like online only. So everyone was like, yeah, we're going to, on this time or whatever, we're going to go there. And then like 2 days before they were going to do it, Area 51's like, yeah, don't do it.
And they're like, okay.
And so no one did.
It's actually, I mean, the idea though is actually brilliant in its simplicity. It's one of those examples of an idea which on paper sounds really stupid and you kind of roll your eyes. But then when you really think about it, they're right. If everyone banded together, not literally everyone, but tens of thousands of people, a really big crowd, and they just went and stormed a military base.
Yep.
I mean, yes, the military base could obliterate them, but they can't. I mean, it would be a PR nightmare if you just mowed down.
Well, even if they did, let's say there was
thousands.
something worth ruining their reputation about or something, and then they started plowing people down.
Yeah.
A third of them go down. Then you got the other 2/3, and they just like walk in.
Yeah. So yeah, so even if you did go the route of mowing them down, which I don't think the government would do that, it would be a PR, for lack of a better term, nightmare for a Western government to be mowing down thousands of its own citizens. So yeah, if you all just march up, but yeah, as you say, even if they did, there'll come a point where it would just, the volume, if everyone did just keep going, the volume would become unmanageable. I mean, that's what storming the beaches, right, essentially is. Just sending shitloads of people and there's not enough guns to keep up. But, yeah, you would get through and you'd be able to find out what was there. So again, it's one of those ideas which is genius in its stupidity. It would actually work even though it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, where I'm coming from on this is that if people were so easily deterred from doing what they thought, everyone was hyped about it. Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to get a new pair of marching boots and I'm going to, and they're getting ready. They got the canteen filled there, and then they get a little text message, hey, don't do it. No, all right, hey, guys, it's off. If you're that easily deterred from doing what you want to do just because, like, how about this? Do you remember, it's an Australian thing, but when you were in year 12, the week before you graduated, there was a thing called like a muck-up day. Did you have that in NZ?
A muck-up day?
Yeah, where like the year 12s would just like toilet paper the place and throw tomatoes on the principal's car and stuff.
Right, so it's not organised by the school, obviously. It's a rite of passage. No, we don't have that. The last day of school is essentially not a school day. Is the kind of thing we have is that there's just basically no classes. You just fucking walk around and sign each other's shit and play water gun fights and so on. But yeah, okay, so muck-up day.
Yeah, and it was a thing where it was like, that's what it was called, and like everyone knew what was going on. Every year 12 around the country would do it. Like teachers would be, oh, here we go, and the next day they'd make sure they got the cleaners ready and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden they're like, if anyone does this, you're not going to graduate or you're not going to. And then everyone's like, all right, we won't do it. And it hasn't happened in like 15 years or whatever, just because somebody said, don't do it.
Do you think the children of today are particularly wussy? I mean, that's one thing I've seen around. And by the way, I generally am in the camp where I think the lockdown measures have been a good idea. It was something that we needed to do to nip everything in the bud. Again, like I was saying before, it seems they've been effective, so I'm not in the fuck the government camp.
Yep, sure.
But you would think in times gone past, the kids of the 90s, the kids of the 80s, the 70s, the kids of other generations, I don't mean to belabor the point,
Sure.
you would get some kind of resistance. Like, some kind of resistance to the government saying, you can't leave your fucking house. You can't have your final year of school. You can't go to that rock concert or whatever. Even if, it would have been wrong. Like, even if the kids of today who aren't protesting or whatever are doing the right thing, and again, I basically believe they are, it's sort of depressing that there is no resistance, just in principle, just in spirit of it. You kind of want kids to fight back a little, but the kids of today, the kids who are currently, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, they seem so just compliant in general.
They're told what to do, so everyone's like, and it almost becomes a cool thing to do what you're told to do, you know?
Even the global warming stuff, like, and again, it's not like climate action, I've got any problem with it, but like kids talking about, we need this policy or whatever, as opposed to fuck the system. It's more like, now and then you enact that and this and the other thing, and it's just, I don't know, teenagers shouldn't be talking about that kind of thing. It's sort of depressing.
People are quick to say, here's the problem, why don't you guys fix it, and kind of ignorant to the fact that, these guys are tasked with solving the problem, like before you're in big boy pants, But do you remember global warming? Do you remember when everyone was worried about global warming? Do you remember when they started taking the plastic bags out of supermarkets and all this?
People are still kind of worried about global warming.
No one's worried about this anymore.
Because of the pandemic, no one's talking about it. Yeah.
This is something more important, and it's not. To me, it's counter, because it's the pandemic thing that's going on is threatening humans, whereas global warming would have been threatening like the world, and humans are a part of that world,
Yeah.
But because it's more personable, that like, well, I could become sick or I could die or whatever, and then this gets like prioritized.
Well, I think the thing is, it's not that it's more important; it's that it's more immediate.
Exactly.
You can't really see climate change day to day. I mean, you might have a particularly hot day or a particularly weird weather event or whatever, but hey, we had those before there was any serious talk of climate change. So it's not like, it's all kind of projections. It's what will happen to our crops and our food supplies and everything decades and decades and decades in the future, right? I mean, we'll probably be like the climate action people talk about, like how we have to suffer the consequences, but honestly, our generation, because we're in our 30s or whatever, we're not, in the grand scheme of things, that much less or more affected than a person who's 15 at the moment.
True.
So our general generation, the millennials and the Gen Zers, we'll probably only get like just the very beginning of the brunt of it. It'll probably be more our grandchildren who really have to suffer through it. We'll probably be on our deathbed just as shit kind of is starting to get real.
Yeah, and what's going to be different for us is that when you get older, you get like cold. You see people like wrapped up in blankets and stuff. We're just going to be like 80, chilling in flip flops, and it's going to be good for us.
I'm looking forward to it.
But my whole thing is that the people who it was used to be like on a weekly basis, people would be like protesting against global warming. Let's make action. Let's do all this stuff. Now they're just like They used to be worried about plastic bags and stuff, and now it's just like we got something else to worry about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll get back to it, but you're right. The pandemic has had that way of kind of putting everything else on hold.
Yep. Selfishly, if you ask me, but
Yeah, I guess. I mean, we're short-term thinking animals, aren't we? Really? Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Hey, speaking of animals,
Yeah.
fucking
I'm waiting for this.
a nice transition. You know what are cool animals? Hedgehogs. I've noticed
Yeah.
it's kind of hedgehog season at the moment over here in New Zealand. I don't know if we have hedgehog season, but I've just noticed them more in my backyard, kind of mucking about. And there was one thing, like again about being short-term thinking creatures. I was thinking in terms of pests. Isn't it interesting how if an animal is cute, we don't perceive it as a pest? Because hedgehogs they're an introduced species over in New Zealand. They fuck over our native fauna and everything. They're not as bad as stoats or what have you, but they're bad for the environment. But if there was a hedgehog culling, people would be fucking furious. They'd be like, don't
Yeah.
do that. They're cute, mate. Whether it's like a stoat or a ferret, yeah, kill them. Just
Yeah.
go for
Yeah,
it.
there is something about there's a thing where you put I don't know how this attains to hedgehogs, but you put eyelashes on something and it becomes less of a threat or something.
Is that something you've read?
I think so. I might have dreamt it. It's animals with eyelashes. The bigger their eyelash, the more they are. I don't know. You know, remember that Sonic the Hedgehog movie? They made that hedgehog all like cutesy, and remember that?
Yeah, so
And then
that was
social media had an
they
outcry.
released it, and all the nerds were like, don't do that to our hedgehog. That's not what Sonic looks like."
And then they redid all the CG
That
for
was
it.
really impressive because studios almost never do that. They
Yeah,
literally moved the release date, right? The fans came out, they were outraged, and Paramount or whatever. I think I got that right. It was Paramount, wasn't it? Good detail.
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure I got that right, guys. Um, they said, okay, we won't release it in October then, and they went off and they completely redid every single scene he was in, which is a shitload of scenes because it's the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Just to please the fans, which is that's impressive.
So was he was portrayed as cuter and then more of a hedgehog, or the other way around, or more of a human, or what? I
He kind of looked like a rat thing in the first one, and then yeah, it was
Yeah,
more
totally.
more human, I think, more cartoony and more
And
like
less of
the
what the traditional cartoon
yeah,
was, or the
exactly, more
game.
like the
Yeah.
Sonic of old, as opposed to this new version.
I don't like this idea because it means that somebody had a vision, somebody put this thing together, they got people to render these things, and then now they have to change it. What if, and this was after the trailer, so what if the whole movie was about, um, what if a hedgehog looked differently, or are you going to accept somebody if they're different than what they used to look like? Or what if there was this, like, a nice story to it? And then they've got, no, we don't like the way he looks, change everything. It changes the whole context of the story.
That's an interesting point, but shouldn't the fans come before some screenwriter for a studio? Because I don't imagine that Sonic the Hedgehog is a passion project for anyone. It's kind of just a money-making scheme, I would guess. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, no. So yeah, it could have gone either way. If it's like you said, if it was like a nostalgic, like an action movie or
Yeah.
something like that, then yeah, give them what they want. It's going to sell more tickets. But if they try and do something with it, try to have like an arc of this outcasted hedgehog around humans, or like they should have stuck to their guns.
Yeah, I mean, if it turns out that the original Sonic the Hedgehog movie was supposed to be kind of a symbolic look at the AIDS crisis of the 80s and how the government turned a blind eye to it, it would be a shame if that was reversed by a bunch of fans who were
Yeah,
angry that it looked like a rat.
yeah,
But if not, then I wouldn't worry about it. So it's just one of those things, you know.
yeah, yeah. I haven't seen it. That movie had Jim Carrey in it, right? And
It did. Apparently, he's a real jerk off in real life too. By the way,
yeah, right.
just
I
FYI
think
trivia.
he's had some great roles. So
Yeah,
like he's got his comedy roles or whatever, but on the screen he's got the chops.
yeah, I agree. He's a good actor. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Um, old Jim. Yeah, do you have a favorite? I'd say Man on the Moon.
I like the number 23. At the time when that came out, I think he stepped outside his comfort zone and kind
I
of
haven't seen
put
that.
some
Is
work
number
into it.
23 good?
The story's all right. It's like a thriller, and it kind of at the end it makes sense.
Yep.
But just that he's acting alone in it, he does really well.
Okay. I'll put it on my list. Um,
Man on the Moon was dope as well.
have you watched? Speaking of movies and so forth, have you watched the Tiger King, the phenomenon that's taking the world by storm?
No, you know me. Like Game of Thrones was big. I didn't watch it. These I don't. No, so
I
Tiger
used to
King I
nag
skipped
you.
as
I used
well.
to nag you about Game of Thrones. You dodged a bullet with that one. They ended it appallingly.
Really?
Yeah. So this is great. See, Kevin. Yeah, you're right. You don't keep up with really popular stuff, so I can kind of fill you in on things that everybody watching is going to know about. It's just kind of interesting watching someone
Well,
learn for the first time about kind of pop culture
yeah,
happenings. But
and I appreciated you. I appreciated you letting me know that there's like a virus outside and that I can't go.
I'm glad I
So,
got you
so fill me in.
caught up to
Fill me
speed.
in, Tiger King. What's going
Yeah,
on?
so Game of Thrones. Um, it was great. Like you were wrong to not watch it back before we knew what was going to happen. The first, I would say, 4 seasons are just stellar. It's fantastic television. There's another thing. Trump became president during the period we've been off. I've got to fill you in on that one.
Who'd they have before him?
Sorry.
Oh, it was Obama before him.
Yeah, that's right. The first black dude.
Simpler
Yeah.
times.
So so Game of Thrones is great for 4 seasons. 5th season pretty good. They kind of had some, I don't know, it was some iffy moments in the 5th. I won't bore you with the details, but overall still really good. 6 and 7. So 6 still very good. Like this is when like kind of cracks started. They started speeding things up a little bit, making some odd decisions, but you know, again, you wouldn't fault them too much for it. 7, like, definitely, like, I mean, yeah, this is getting boring, but I'm just trying to say the quality drop was definitely noticeable, but gradual and not
Yep.
absolutely, you couldn't deal with it. It was still, like, you know, watchable television. Then fucking, the theory is that the two dudes who run it were just that they got a deal to make a Star Wars movie or whatever, and they were just like, oh, we're sick of the show. Let's just fucking wrap it up. So they really should have gone over like another 2 or 3 seasons, but instead they did like 1 8-episode or 6-episode, whatever it was, season, and just tore through the remaining plot they had left. And so nothing made sense. There were like loose ends that never got tied up, kind of visual cues and illusions from previous seasons, which just never came back. Like characters were just doing things that made no strategical sense, and then just the world fucking ends, and then it's like, okay, Game of Thrones, bye, and everyone's just fucking watching their TVs, going, "You wasted a decade of our lives." That was, you know, and people complain about certain decisions. It's not actually like I can do spoilers for you. You don't care. You're never gonna watch it, right? So spoilers for anyone who, for whatever reason, might want to watch Game of Thrones, despite everyone saying it's terrible by the end. One of the main
Don't watch
characters. Sorry?
No, I'm just telling him not to watch it.
Yeah. One of the main characters, Dany, she was kind of like the lead female character, had dragons and stuff, was sort of this heroic figure, could be violent, but always for a good cause, if you know what I mean. Wanted to create a better world without slavery.
Totally.
She ends up like getting her dragon and just like destroying an entire city, children and all. Just loses her fucking mind, loses all the moral values. A lot of people criticized, obviously, that decision. Like, it was pretty devastating and kind of ruined the character. They turned a lot of people's favorite character into a genocidal maniac. I wasn't angry about that decision as such, because I'm pretty sure, based on the books and certain things they allude to, that is actually what's supposed to happen. That's probably what's going to happen in the books if they're ever released. And that's the way it was supposed to be, and it totally makes sense. But they did it in a way that didn't make sense. It's just a couple people close to her died, and then overnight she just decided she didn't care about killing men, women, and children. So it's
Yeah,
the
I don't
telling.
want to. I don't want to stick up for the series, but it's kind of different when you're reading a book and you're like you've locked yourself into this little world and you're reading through it, and then something happens. You can foreshadow and you can like have these kind of you can
Oh,
allude that
you
this
can
is going
do
to
no,
happen, or
you can
whatever.
do that in a TV show as well. I mean, just like the
But,
first three
but what
seasons.
I'm saying is you can't because you drop it and then everyone like analyzes it and they put it up. This is what's going to happen and everything, and you get spoilers and all this stuff happens before you don't just sit down and watch episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You watch 1, 2, and then you read what the guy down the street says about it, and then you watch 3. And like,
Yeah, no, I mean, just like in the first three seasons of Game of Thrones, there were shocking moments that threw everyone for a loop. People didn't get pissed off about it, like the Red Wedding, where
okay,
they kill two or three of the main characters in one foul swoop. The people that you thought were going to be around to win the whole series 5 years down the line, just all of a sudden, no, they're dead now. That's a pretty fucking shocking thing to do, but no one was angry because it did make sense because it was
okay,
kind of foreshadowed and so forth in
okay.
previous episodes, and it kind of it made sense. You can see why they did it, even though they could have gone
Yeah,
around and they didn't do it. But
yeah. Point taken. I don't really watch serialized stuff like that. Um, One thing that didn't make sense is there was a thing where there was like a Starbucks cup that was in a Game of Thrones episode or something, right?
oh yeah, and I think again that was just a sign of they just got sloppy and lazy as they went on because you couldn't find
Mm.
many screw ups in the earlier seasons. I mean, everyone has some sight gags. There's always going to be some little goose, but basically nothing in the first yeah several years of the show, and then in the last season it was like 2 weeks in a row someone spotted a Starbucks cup, so they didn't give a
But
fuck.
you don't think it was on purpose that they were like, hey, this is going to get us like BuzzFeed coverage and this is going to get people talking on social and
I don't
stuff?
think so. I think
Put it in there, take a little hit and get a bigger W. No?
I doubt it. I doubt it. Hey, that's actually another thing. TV catch-ups. You're a Breaking Bad fan, right? That's one you did watch because you picked it up
I
before
did, yeah.
everyone else, right?
Yep.
Did you pick up Better Call Saul?
No, never did.
Okay, I need to analyze you, man, because I know I don't understand you people. It shocks me how many Breaking Bad fans there are who haven't given Better Call Saul a go. I don't get it. Why would you love a show and then when they introduce a sequel to it, essentially, you just go, nah. Well,
Here's the thing, man, and this is why I value my time. You know, I'm very grateful for every moment that I have, and so I'm not just going to throw some of my time into people or somebody or a group of people say to watch this. So unless like Better Call Saul found me, I'm not going to go out of my way
how's it
to
going to
like watch
find
it.
you,
You
though?
know,
How did Game of Thrones
it,
find you? How did
it didn't. That's why
Breaking
I didn't
Bad?
watch it.
How
But
did Breaking Bad
Breaking
find you? I mean,
Bad, yeah, I don't know. Like at the time, there was no hype about it, and I watched it and I liked it, so I kept watching it. But just things that come into my path, and then I'm just like, yeah, let's ride this out.
but how no? How do they come into your path? You still watch terrestrial television?
Oh, I don't remember when that was like 10 years ago or something, right? Breaking Bad?
To Breaking
Was
Bad?
it? Yeah.
Oh, it's
10 years ago?
dude. It's like 5, 6 years. It's like about
It,
when
prob-
FIAWG wrapped up.
it probably would have been like they were AMC and there was like another series on AMC, and then I was curious to see what the next one was, or the Malcolm in the Middle guys in a new series, let's check it out. Or it was something that, I wasn't told to watch it. It was like follow some breadcrumbs and then find it.
Okay, well that's my recommendation. Anyone who enjoyed Breaking Bad, you should check out Better Call Saul. It's fantastic. Some people complain it's too slow, but they're just stupid. It's great. It is a bit slow, but the storytelling and the characters are spot on. Excellent.
What do you think is the best spin-off series of all time? Any medium?
I'd say Better Call Saul. I think yeah.
Really?
Well, yeah, because I mean spin-offs. I mean, one, it's excellent. It's a great show.
Okay.
But two, I mean,
Sure.
spin-offs. Like, it's pretty weak competition. Most of them suck. It's just I'm just off the top of my head thinking like spin-offs that are good. Better Call Saul, and Frasier is I'd say
Frasier was,
arguably better than
yeah, I'm with you on
Cheers.
that. Yeah.
Um,
And Joey?
yeah, no,
Oh, yeah, I've got one for you. How about this for a spin-off? Remember It's like Peter Sellers or something that did the Pink Panther movies,
Yep.
and then they had the diamond was like called the Pink Panther, and then they spun that off into the cartoon series with an actual panther that was pink.
Yes, I do. I
That's
do
my
recall that
best spin-off of all time.
cartoon from
Now
my
that
childhood. Okay.
the cartoon Pink Panther is probably more lucrative and better well known than the original movies.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. So it's very popular with children, is it? The Pink Panther cartoon? I don't remember it being
I
huge. I
don't know.
remember it existing.
Well, everyone knows the theme song, right?
Dun 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 dun. Is that right?
I think so. I don't know. It's got some doo-doos in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Peter Sellers. Actually, that's another one. Movie recommendation. I watched it for the first time just the other week, after being recommended many times to me. Being There. Have you ever seen that?
No, never heard of it.
Fucking great. And
Being there.
Being There. And
Okay.
it's also an example of, I don't know if you like this, but I find it difficult to watch movies of a certain age, not even that old. Anything kind of pre 80s, and even most movies from the 80s, frankly.
Okay.
It's something about the aesthetic of them, the way things were generally paced back then. I just don't enjoy most movies pre-90s, frankly.
You know why?
Uh,
We're very acclimatized now to there's like a structure. They used to have it was a 3 act structure, and then Hollywood got this thing where they were sorry, where they were putting, every movie had to have the characters being set up and then put into a new situation, and then they progress the character, and then they have a setback, and then like it was these very clumped little. This is this segment of the movie, and there was 5 or 6 of them.
yeah,
So every movie got run through that. So you're climatized to say, this is what I expect. Now they're giving it to me in different situations, different characters, whatever. But the older, like before the 80s or the 70s, it was always someone is just like, hey, I've got this character, let's run him through this situation, wherever it ends up.
perhaps that's it. I don't know, but just for whatever reason, yeah, I struggle with movies that aren't from kind of modern times, I guess. And it is funny.
Yeah, it's
It
funny.
seems to be specific. It seems to be like it starts almost as soon as my childhood begins, right? Because I was born in '88, and it's interesting that it seems to be right from about
Yeah,
there. That's where I enjoy films. From before
yeah.
there, not so much. There's exceptions. There's definitely exceptions. The Graduate, for instance, is one of my favorite films, so it's not a 100% rule. But I was recommended this because I was talking about that on the radio, and someone said you should watch Being There. Being There is like very timeless. Should work for anyone of any age, and they were totally right. And basically the premise is fucking great premise. Peter Sellers plays this kind of mysterious man. They never explain why he is the way he is, but he's a gardener who just kind of works at this rich old man's manor, and he kind of looks after him like a child. So all of his job is just like he tends to the garden, and they the kind of estate houses him, feeds him, clothes him, everything, and he's just seemingly always been there his whole life. He's not the man's child or anything. He's just always been there. And he's never.
He's always what?
Sorry.
He's always what?
He's always been there. He's always been in that house. Oh yeah, right, good. Hit the title. Although funnily enough, I don't think that's actually where the title comes from. I'll explain that in just a bit. But he's never left this house, and so he only knows about the outside world through television. That's it. And so he's basically
Wow.
got the brain of a fucking child. He's a dumb as a
Yeah.
brick. And then the old man dies, and like these people show up and they go, yeah, so why are you here? Are you his son, or do you have any claim to the estate? A claim? I don't believe I have any claim, no. And so it's like, yeah, you gotta go. And he goes, oh. And so he's just like out on the streets,
Wow.
kind of discovering the world for the first time at age, 45 or whatever. And through his, I won't give the whole movie away, but
I will watch it.
the essential premise of the film from there And the kind of like central gag of the whole thing is his ultra naivety is viewed as a sort of humor and wisdom by everyone around him. So he kind of accidentally falls in to all this and just escalates and escalates and escalates until, you know, he's in very powerful, weird positions and shit. It's
A situation where if he was perceived to be more intellectual, he wouldn't have got into that situation, right?
sorry, can you repeat?
So if he was more, if he was perceived as more intellectual, he wouldn't have found himself in that situation. But he's dumbing it down, so they let him through the
Yeah,
doors.
exactly.
Mm.
Yeah,
I love it, man. I'm gonna watch it.
cool.
I've got one that I was watching was My Favorite Brunette, which was a movie with Bob Hope in it.
My favorite
But this
brunette.
was like, yeah,
Okay.
this was like I think it was from the almost late 40s or something. But it holds up, right? So it was it's a film noir movie, and then they just throw Bob I was going to say Bob Hope into the main character,
Okay.
and he's like his little there'll be something really serious going on and something with consequences that are leading up to the climax of the movie, and then he would just put in a little one line of comedy and then back to the action. Like the way he did it, I think that was probably one of the best acting roles that I've seen somebody who wasn't like traditionally an
Yeah,
actor.
right. A comedian. Yeah.
My favorite brunette. Yeah,
Okay.
that was a very good movie. I dug that.
And that must be Bob Hope. So it must be from quite a while ago. I imagine, like 1960s sort of thing.
Almost like 50s or something, because I was like I go through like these public domain movies and like pre-code movies, and because what I was saying before about like this Hollywood structure of stage 1, 2, 3 or whatever, like when you look back at these old things, it was like real storytelling. Pre-code was, do you know what the code in Hollywood
No.
was? So it was where like one part of it was like the bad guy can't win, so he has to get his comeuppance. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
couldn't
Right.
have.
Yeah. You gotta. Yeah. Make
Yeah,
sure
so
everyone's
they'll
justice
they'll
is
always
fair.
have these. They're like, if you want to have a production budget or you want to have this production team or these actors, you have to abide to these code standards. But before that, it was just like, yeah, anyone with a camera, go do what you want to do. So you had like westerns where the bad guy wins and stuff like that. So I'm more interested in those kind of stories where people were unfiltered.
That's definitely, I think, one thing that modern filmmaking and television making, for that matter, improved is scrapping certain. I mean, stuff like that, like the bad guy can't win, or the main character has to be a good person. I mean, The Sopranos,
Yep.
which I don't think you haven't seen The Sopranos, have you? Or maybe you have now.
I didn't know.
I mean, that was maybe the first mainstream television show. I mean, it's pretty late. We're looking at 2000, so I'm probably wrong about this. But whatever, let's just run with the idea that it was. Probably the first television show was like, you know what? The main character is just going to be objectively a horrible human being, and you're going to fucking love him anyway. And you
But
did,
I
and you
think,
made it
and
work.
this, I'll bring this to Breaking Bad because it's something that I'm familiar with, but it could be also in The Sopranos, is that there's something, it's not an all bad character. So like Tony Soprano, whoever the head dude was, probably had like some kind of family loyalty and he's looking after his mob or something like that. And that's how you kind of build the empathy for that character. Like
Yeah,
Walter
totally.
White
I mean, he
was
was three
trying to look
dimensional.
after his family. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, like, he's three dimensional, but he wasn't morally grey, if you know what I mean. Like, there's no doubt when you look at the
Total.
big picture, you're like, no, he is a monster. I mean, he ruins people's lives and murders people, and he's a bad person.
But a good storyteller, you could put yourself in his shoes and say, well, is his name Tony Soprano?
Yeah,
Whatever his
yeah,
name is. Uh, I am him now, and this is not a bad thing for me to be doing. I'm going to kill
you got your
somebody,
own code and
but
everything.
I'm
Yeah,
doing it for the right reasons. It's like Scarface, the De Palma version of Scarface, right? They had two sections in it. One is where he's going to blow up a car, and then he opts out because there's a kid in it. He's like, I don't kill kids. So it's kind of it set a seed of he's not all bad, and then at the end the code kicks in because the bad guy dies. So if that was done, if you watch the original was like a 32 or something, that with Tony Camonte, the original Scarface, there's not all that. It's like the Valentine's
because
Day
it's old
massacre. He
time
just goes and
Hollywood.
kills people.
Ah, see. That's how they talk. Um, so Elon Musk's a father now. I saw. Congratulations,
Did
Elon.
you? Yeah, if you're watching, did you? Do you know what his son's called?
Oh yeah, I read it. I can't say it though. It's like a code.
Yeah. Can you try to say it?
I'll look it up. Hold on. Elon Musk's child's name. What is it with celebrities giving weird names to kids too? I never see these kind of weird name people out in the wild.
Hmm.
Um, so if I had to try and say it, I would I would pronounce that
Steve.
Zaya 12.
Okay. All I know is it's got some characters that aren't alphanumeric or something, right? There's like
Yeah,
that
so
the tool thing
it's
or
X space and then it like the symbol is kind of a combination of an A with a capital E, like they're both kind of combined. So that's the symbol. So it's X space that space A dash 12. So if I'm just reading that as an
yeah,
A and an
right.
E, which it's not, I assume, otherwise they would just have an A and an E. But the closest that looks to is an A and an E. So if I was reading that as an A and an E, it would be Zaya 12 because X often makes a Z sound. AR dash 12.
Do you, how do you feel about this? Because they probably have a nickname for him, right? So why would you? Because you're not going to go, hey, XW underscore, come over here. They'll probably just call him like dash 12 or whatever, right? So
Yeah, something
how do you
something
feel
real
about
normal like
being,
that. Um,
yeah. Yeah. So how do you feel about giving a crazy name to somebody who's going to have to live with it?
yeah, I'm against it. You know, I mean, like you say, they're going to have to, be in school and have. But there was a cool story about that I read once, a kind of inspirational feel good story about this couple who named their daughter marijuana Pepsi,
Well,
and just like you say, right? She had to grow up with it, and people made fun of her in school, and because her name's fucking marijuana Pepsi. And she got really mad at her mom, like, why did you do it? Which, fair enough, right?
yeah.
And one time, her mum found out that she'd been calling herself Michelle and writing that on name tags or whatever for classes, and she fucking like really tried to like, no, you never lie about your name. She stormed right into the school. She made them change the records. She's like, own your name, own who you are.
I'm with the mum on that.
And all of a sudden, like one day, it was like a moment of clarity. Like it kind of washed over her. She's in school and someone, they call it the roller, go marijuana Pepsi, and she's like, prison. And from that moment on, she really like owned it and went on to
Mm.
become like a successful. I think she's a counselor now. I think she might be like an award-winning high school teacher or whatever. But she teaches classes on like self-esteem and did all
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
It became like a really big success. Fucking marijuana Pepsi all the way. So there's a
For
flip
real.
side to that, but at the same time, I don't think you get to make those decisions for your kids, if you know what I mean.
Do you ever hear a Johnny Cash song,
Boy named
Boy
Sue.
Named Sue?
Yeah, classic.
Yeah, so that really runs it down how you can own it, right?
Hmm.
I it throws me off when somebody has a name which would be expected or traditional for the workplace, but that's not their name. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A great example of someone doing it right, I think, is Penn Jillette. Do you know Penn and Teller, Penn Jillette?
Sure, 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 sure.
You don't. I'm not saying you have to give your kids normal names. I'm just against giving them joke names. So, his son is called Zoltan, which I think is a cool sounding name. It's not normal,
Sure,
but it's like a good name. And
sure.
his daughter is called Moxie Crime Fighter. Now you might go, well, that's obviously a fucking joke name. That's not cool. But you got to understand it's her middle name, and their reasoning behind it was like, no one fucking ever gets your middle name. So it's just a cool thing to have on your driver's license. And if anyone if a
Totally.
cop ever pulls her over, she can go like, hey, don't worry, officer. Crime Fighter is my middle name. I'm on your side.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Moxie's an awesome name.
Moxie's a good
Yeah,
name,
Moxie's
yeah.
a great name. Like I'm actually kind of mad. Like I want to steal that if I have a daughter, but you can't have two Moxies. It's like Pidgeot came up with that. It's lame to use it. But
There's some good old words that need to come back. Moxie's one
yeah,
of them.
Moxie's a great word. Moxie's a great word.
I
And it should be a name. It should be a common name.
My mind was blown when I realised that there's Penn and Teller. There's one who writes the jokes and one who tells the jokes, and the one who uses his pen to write is called Teller, and the one who tells the joke is called Penn.
Did you come up with that?
Well, they came up with it, but I thought of it one time.
No, I didn't come up with that. His real name is Penn.
Really?
Yeah.
Is the other guy's real name Teller?
No, actually, he did. He legally changed his name to Teller. I'm a big fan, so I actually know these things. But
Hey, speaking of, have you seen their VR PlayStation whatever game?
the what PlayStation game?
The Penn and Teller PlayStation game. It's like a VR, like a virtual reality. Like you put these goggles and you do the virtual
No,
things.
I haven't called that one.
So it's basically it's a gag game. You still pay $90 for it or whatever, but it's like if you got people around and you hey, let's play this game. So one dude puts on the glasses and when you've got those goggle things on, you can't see anything. You're in that VR world.
Okay.
You with me? And then the whole gag of it is that everyone can see. So there's one where you do like rock, paper, scissors. So they can see your hand in VR. And then you do it and then the computer takes over and they think you're still playing. And then like you have to go pull their pants down or like go rob something from their car or something.
It sounds buzzy. I do know that's not the first time they've even made a joke game. By the way, have you heard of Road Bus? Desert Bus, I think it's called.
No.
That was a Sega game they made back in the day, and it's literally you have to drive a bus 20 miles or whatever. It's like an 8-hour journey. And
With no like hurdles or anything. You just drive it.
Nothing ever happens. And if you don't like press right though, it will like veer off the road. So the player has to sit there and manually keep it on the road for the entirety of the 8 hours. The only thing that ever only kind of variant part of the whole thing is like at 4.5 hours in, a fly like hits the windscreen and dies. That's it. And then if you get to the end of the 8-hour journey, your reward is 1 point, and then you're immediately given the mission to return.
You got to go back.
And that's it for the game. Like, and it's infinite. It never ends. You just getting 1 point, and then back, and then 1 point. And so people have had marathons where they play like Desert Bus for 10 days to non-stop. Like
the best in the world has like 16 points.
Huh?
As silly as we think this is, you know that Animal Crossing game?
Oh yeah, it got massive.
Yeah, what that is that you go out and you plant plants and pick up fruit.
I guess it's just a way for people to socialize now.
Yeah, or remember there's like Second Life and Sims and these kind of things? It's a bit of like escapism for people, right?
Yeah.
Your life you might think that your life sucks and then you can unplug or plug back in and be somebody else for a little while.
Hey, can we answer the question of how you pronounce Elon Musk's baby's name?
Son's name.
Because I was looking that up. He identified the second character as Ash, saying it was pronounced... Well, I don't know how you pronounce this. X-Ash-A-12. So it'd be Zasha 12. Zasha 12.
Yeah, I would have just called him or her Zasha.
Zasha, yeah.
Like,
yeah, why did you need 12?
No, but like spelled like you would expect, like Zacha. That's it, Zasha Musk. You could know what it means without telling the world this is how against the naming protocol I can be.
It's true.
I think there's some kind of guidelines, right? You can't call your son sheriff and things like this.
Yeah, there is a department that will kind of reject certain ones. I guess maybe you've got enough money to look at, or maybe the US just doesn't have those things. I don't know.
Yeah, or like the normal person or the non-rich person isn't allowed to have that strange character, and he's like, check it out. There's got to be some kind of weird flex about why you would call it that. Why you would call him or her that. I keep calling the baby Nit.
Sorry?
It just seems a little wrong to call a baby it. So I corrected myself and said him or her.
Yeah.
Hey, we've been going on for a little while now without mentioning we have some sponsors that have come on board to help us actually bring this
Oh, yeah. They
into
probably let us mention them earlier, right? So sorry about that, guys. Hope you stay on. Well, look, we've got a couple of sponsors. Kevin, do you want to? Well, it's not like it's yours, but do you want to go first with the one that kind of reached out to you that you got on board?
Yeah. So they approached me, but they're definitely sponsoring the show, not me.
Yeah.
So this is for anybody who is a fan of horticulture or wants some kind of cleaner, fresh air in their world.
Oh, that'll be really popular right now.
Yeah, it really is. So if you're looking at getting like a plant, this is a rendition of one, but like a real plant, and you're a fan of the bonsai tree, but you find that, you'd rather be outside and look at some real trees and, get the real feeling of a trunk and see some squirrels running around and all that. You can't get that with a small bonsai tree. So they've come on board. They're called Wrong Size Bonsais. And you can get 10% off if you go to their website, which is wrongsizebonsais.elonmusk_12-14xy to the power of 3.org.
It's really specific.
That's Wrong Size Bonsais.
Right. Well, thanks, guys, for sponsoring us. And I'm sure they're going to get a shitload of business from this because we have a huge audience that have been waiting a long fucking time to hear from us.
Totally.
They're going to want to make sure we stay around, and in order for that to happen, got to make some money, guys. Yeah. So
it's good people, and I think they have found a niche where not everyone wants a small bonsai. Would rather have a bigger one. So
yeah, but if it's just one size bonsai, then that whole decision fatigue is kind of taken out of your hands, right?
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for sponsoring.
Thanks, guys. Cheers. Hey, speaking of regular segments,
yes.
I want to bring in. It's old. It's stupid. It's no longer
relevant.
It's dumb and dusted. A lot of people have been missing that one. Hey, so, by the way, sorry for my shitty lighting, guys. I haven't had like a proper home studio set up, so just have to deal with this for a while. And
you do illuminate and radiate a little, though.
Yeah,
so.
when the sun kind of comes through, it's not very consistent. Anyway,
if there's one thing I know in this life, is you should never apologize for your lighting or lack of. Roll with it.
Okay.
What were we talking about before? People rolling with it. Names.
Yeah.
Roll with your lighting.
So
dumb and dusted.
We're rolling with it. It's a segment we do where we talk about something that is, either something that's gone and it's good that it's gone, or, as we're going to do today, sometimes we nominate something it's time to go. It's old, it's stupid, it's just not relevant anymore.
It's dumb and it's dusted,
right? I'm bringing in today, and this might be a controversial one, but I want you to hear me out.
Speak.
Epidemiologists.
I'm not sure what that is.
They're people who focus on epidemics. Kind of science.
Right.
Science medical people, right?
That's not where my brain went. Okay.
I'm fucking sick of them, mate. On my TV all the time. And they can't tell the difference from their asshole and their ear hole, essentially. They have no idea what's going on. They come out one day, they say, do this. They come out the next day, they go, actually, do that. They come out the next day, they go, do none of those things. Do this new fucking thing. And we've got like our main science communicator here in New Zealand is a woman by the name of Susie Wiles. And she was copping some criticism over this because she was out there saying, oh, you can send your kids to school. Then all of a sudden, no, we're not sending any fucking kids to school. That is a terrible idea. They're germ farms, obviously. But basically that pattern, like contradicting herself or just saying something that turned out to be wrong several days later down the track or a week down the track, more than one instance. And her argument or her case was pretty much like, look, when an epidemic is unfolding, each virus is different, obviously. Everyone's figuring it out as we go along. I think what was the it was we need to build this plane as we fly it, I think was the expression she used. Now, on one hand, all right, I totally accept that. She's right, you can't, just because someone's a scientifically educated person doesn't mean they're omnipotent, they can't see the future, fine. But if that's the case, right, if they're going to get things wrong, potentially as much as they have, fuck it. Just don't talk. We don't need you. I may as well write those articles. May as well just be Matt going, you know what, I reckon fucking washing your hands is good, and let's say dairies can probably stay open. That's not too high risk. Just, spitball it. Just see if I'm right or not. I'm going to be right with about as much regularity as the actual science communicators and epidemiologists. And if that's the case, we don't fucking need them, mate. Just give me the job. Yep. Let me write up the shit. Let me take the press conferences. I'll do it.
Well, there's one little hole in all this, is if that position's no longer available, that you won't be able to fill it.
Yeah, no, but I won't waste years in university, though, is what I'm saying. And it can be new income for me. They're smart. They can do something harder than that. So,
What was the lady that you mentioned? What was like 6 months ago, and in 6 months from now, what is her normal role, and what's she tasked with when it's not a national thing? I don't think
she's actually specifically an epidemiologist. I'm using that as like shorthand for people in medical research. But I think she's a biologist. Basically, she works in labs and looks at stuff and figures out what it does, that sort of thing.
So stick to that, you reckon?
Yeah, pretty much. Just do that.
Yeah.
Just do that, and don't write in RNZ anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
fungi, whatever the fuck it is. Hey,
it surprises me that there's not somebody who's more not qualified but more specified to take these. Right? If you're getting like a biologist to make the decisions on things that are more than just biology, it's like human psyche, and it's...
Well, again, she's a science communicator is her main gig.
Okay, so someone gives her the numbers and she kind of puts...
Yeah, she explains in layman's terms to the public, yeah.
Definitely don't need that. That's what I'm with you on this. We need the opposite of that. We need people just to give the real black and white, and then if you're smart enough to know what's going on, you can follow.
Shit.
And if you're not, that's not for you.
Fucking, just do what we tell you. Wash your hands. Don't worry about anything else. Just don't worry about it.
Leave the rest to us. We got it.
Exactly. Not everyone has to know everything. So yeah.
Yeah, we got that. Dumb and dusted. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Epidemiologist. Dumb and dusted. Hey, you know what's not dumb and dusted? Our next sponsor, knocking them right out. Hey, if you want to just not worry about it, you know what you need, Kevin?
What's that?
Immunishake. So basically, it comes in sachets. Put it in some milk, whisk it around, drink it up, boosts your immune system. Probably won't even have to worry about washing your hands anymore, frankly. Just drink this every morning, and you'll be sweet. So head to immunishake.net, promo code X179 82475672. I won't even repeat it because I know everyone, can just rewind, but I could repeat it if I wanted to. It's catchy. It's easy to remember. And the great thing, Kevin, is if not only will this boost your immunity, because they'll just send it out to you like a subscription service, so you don't have to worry about like going and topping up. They'll do it for you, mate.
That's easy.
But if you sign a friend up to the service, then you actually get a little cut of their subscription. right?
Wow, so everyone wins.
Yeah, everyone wins. And if they get people signed, then they get a cut from the people below them, and you get like an even
Wow.
smaller cut, but still a cut of the person they signed up because you signed them up. So it's kind of like if you get enough people on it, mate, you'll be in a situation where you're
Hmm.
you're working from home, making your own hours, being your own boss, and just watching the money flow right in, mate.
Fully immune, like
And you'll be immune.
nothing can touch
Yeah,
her. What a great product.
yeah. If you want to stick around after this and give me your credit card details, Kevin, I can sign you up on it. You can be my first person under me.
Yeah, to get that cut,
Yeah,
you got to hustle.
yeah.
Do you think it's worthwhile? When you're a kid and you eat dirt and they say it's good for your immune system.
Yeah, you gotta like,
Do you think that's at all helpful right now?
um, like getting dirt.
Yeah, like having a dirt shake, or not washing the coffee cup after you make a coffee, just to let a bit of bacteria grow on it. Do you think that can make you stronger?
Against coronavirus specifically.
That is a side effect. Yeah, it could really help with that.
Possibly, possibly.
Let's
The
not
only the
recommend
only
anything at this
the only
point.
way the only way to know is to find out. People, don't
Just
wash
like
your
the
dishes this week.
epidermis or whatever should stick to their lane, I think we should stick to our lane as well.
I will say though, I mean, like I am one of like if you haven't done anything serious with the pan and you want to just like pop something else in it, just run hot water through it. Give it a quick. Don't need to go through like the dishwashing detergent every single time. Do you agree?
like cooking pots and pans.
Like I just made some mushrooms. I want to make some chicken now for the dish. Once the
Yeah,
mushrooms are out, I'll just like you get a paper towel, wipe off the excess grease, and just throw
yeah,
it
yeah,
in
for
there.
sure.
Don't need to fucking properly
Uh,
wash it every time.
no, it's a bit of a luxury to be doing that because they used to purposely not do that so they keep the flavor around.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Oh okay.
you have like you have a crock pot or something and it burns so hot that it's all the bacteria and stuff gets burnt up. So you just
So
give it a
I might
rinse,
not even
keep the
be
flavor.
Mr. Johnny Rebel. It might be the thing you're supposed to do. Is what you're.
Either way, I'm on board.
Yeah, okay. You got any jokes for me, Kevin?
I do have some jokes. Because I've got a lot of unfiltered time at the moment. So I've been working on some projects, and one of the projects is putting together some snappy jokes. And I thought there's no one better to run it past than yourself. Do you still do stand up?
No, I kind of I'm focusing on the broadcasting at the moment. Not saying I never do stand up again, but I'm not doing it. But anyway, I have, so you can still say I've
Okay.
got a background in jokes. So yeah, go on.
Well, any kind of feedback would be appreciated.
Oh,
But so I've noticed there's a growing trend of people using audiobooks to learn how to speak new languages. But I've noticed there's a gap in the market. So keep an eye out for my new audiobook. It's How to Learn Sign Language.
I don't think it would take the house down.
Okay, well, I do think that sports are essential to the development of young children,
Hmm.
except for UFC.
That's not even a joke though. Like, what the joke is just that sports are good, but not obviously really like fighting ones because they would get hurt, right? That's the joke.
Yeah, a bit more intellectual than hilarious, I guess. Or running. I think running is great for impatient people who like going for walks.
Running is great for impatient people who like going for walks. There's that now. Look, what I don't think is great either, but there's something in that one.
It's warming up.
That's moving up. That's the best you've done, and it's quite
All right.
Hedbergian. Do you know Mitch Hedberg?
I know Mitch Hedberg, yeah.
Yeah.
So with his delivery, I guess he could make these funny, but I
I
don't
mean, you
have
can
that. But
totally
on
imagine him
paper,
saying that. Man, I love running, man. Running is like great for impatient people who like walking. It's not.
exactly.
It's not quite, but it's
Yeah.
close to something he would say.
All right. Well,
Okay,
I'll get off sports and go to music. So I like country music. My favorite is Advanced Australia Fair.
I didn't catch that one. Sorry.
I've been getting into country
Yeah.
music,
You like country music?
and
Your
my
favorite?
is Advanced Australia Fair.
I'm sorry, jokes are never funny when you have to repeat them over and over again. My headphones are kind of fucky, so I'm still not getting. Can you say it really slowly?
Let's go to horror movies
Okay, all right. We'll just leave that one. All right.
because I like horror movies. My favorite is it's a movie with Jeff Goldblum. It's called The Fly. Basically, like the premise of it is a man enters a teleport at the same time as a fly enters, and it results in a half man, half fly creature. I think the only way they could have made that better is if a fly entered into his mouth and created a half fly, half teleporter.
A half fly, half teleporter.
Hmm.
Why? I don't get
Ah, you're killing me. At this point, there would have been the big like the cane that comes in from the side and pulls you off the stage.
it. I mean, yeah. Sorry, I don't even. Can you explain that? Why is that funny?
Well, I mean, a half man, half fly, you can imagine. But what's a half fly, half teleporter?
What? Yeah, I don't know.
And that's why it's a little bizarre. And it might elicit a chuckle.
Why a teleporter?
All right, let me give you a quicker, snappier joke.
Okay.
I think tattoos are for two kinds of people. Number one are criminals, and number two are people who cannot afford notepads.
No, but it's the best one. After the walking one. Um, the the problem with that one problem with that one, is it's not true because tattoos are more expensive than a notepad and a pen.
Yeah, that was an oversight on my behalf.
Uh, is that it?
Well, sometimes I do like to go to IKEA and pretend I work there. And when someone asks for my help, I tell them to get out of my house or I'm calling the police.
Um, yeah, I mean that's a joke.
It's, it qualifies. Um, all right, this is my big. This one, if nothing else has worked, it's this one. All right,
Okay.
are you sitting down?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I recently purchased the new TV, and it has this feature on it where you can freeze the screen. So sometimes I like to put on the weather channel, and then I freeze the screen, and then I put on a jumper.
Oh, cause freeze. No, it's terrible.
All right. So I'll leave this. I'll leave the jokes to you.
Very good. Yes, I don't even do it anymore. There's nothing worse than someone saying they're funny, right? It's like saying you're handsome. It's one of those things that other people have to say. So I'm not gonna personally take credit as being a good joke telling man. It's for you, the audience, to decide. And don't use today as the example to go off. It hasn't been my best. Hasn't been my best. Gotta say, not sure I've been very engaging this last hour, Kevin. But hey, we'll see how it comes out, mate. Um,
Have you got a snappy joke for us?
um, I'll tell you my favorite Australian joke that a coworker told me. So it's not mine. I'm not taking credit for this. But a couple of Pakistani guys immigrate to Australia, and they get off the plane. And the first Pakistani guy says to his friend, he goes, "Oh man, so great to be here in Australia. It's sunny. The beaches are here are lovely. I hear the women are great too. Just, it's gonna be great. You know what? I'm so glad we're in Australia that I wanna not just immigrate. I wanna immigrate. You know, because it's not just about immigration. It's about integration, isn't it, Kevin?"
Exactly.
And his friend goes, "Oh yeah, what do you mean?" He goes, "Well, let's become Australian, mate. Like, really embrace the culture. Let's not hang out with each other, or go to any of the other kind of mainstays or whatever for the Pakistani community. Let's like just get freaking into it. Just Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. And you know what? Let's make this interesting. Well, we won't even hang out with each other for this next month, right? We will just go completely our separate ways. It's a total immersion, and then let's meet up in a month's time. And whoever's the most Australian, you got to like buy the other one a VB or whatever. And the guy goes, "Yeah, okay, cool, sounds good." So they spit off, and they do exactly that. They just like immerse themselves in true blue Aussie culture, mate. And then they catch up. They catch up a month down the line, just as planned. And the first Pakistani guy rocks up to the meeting place. He goes, "Mate, you don't have anything on me. I've got this one absolutely down, mate. I am true blue Aussie as it gets, mate. True fucking blue, mate. I go down to the beach in me thongs every weekend in my Holden Commodore, whatever the fuck you people drive. And I with my esky and fill with my VBs and watch the cricket on the beach or whatever. I'm just like true blue bloody Aussie, true blue as it gets, mate. You're never gonna get me." And the other guy goes, "Oh, shut the fuck up, you parky cunt." Okay, that didn't land.
It's very funny, and that's the kind of joke that that would engage and excite a crowd.
Just not.
I dig it.
Not you. The thing I like about it, because nothing makes a joke funnier than examining it and unpacking it. It's a reverse racist joke. Like the punchline at first glance seems like it's a racist punchline, but it's actually making fun of kind of the undercurrent of racism in Australia, as opposed to the subject of the joke. Like, yeah,
exactly. And if you're doing it live, the audience is going to be in on the joke, and it also gives them something to think about. Yeah, I dig it.
All right. Any odds and ends before we wrap up there, Kevin?
No, just real quick. You still haven't told me about the Tiger King.
Oh, it's crazy.
Right.
Everyone in it is insane.
Is it worth watching?
Yes. Like, everyone in it is insane. That is basically the premise of it. That's why it's so captivating. It's like, there is not one normal person in that whole documentary.
Okay.
That's all I say. And watch Better Call Saul too. And being there, I've given you all kinds of recommendations. You got anything from me?
No, the only thing I watched recently is the Chicago Bulls Michael Jordan doc.
I
Last Dance.
just don't give a shit about basketball, so I haven't watched it. But
then you won't like it. There's a lot of like inside baseball stuff where
I've heard
it's kind of cool.
Big though, people are like praising it.
Yeah, there's footage that has never been seen before and stuff like that. And around this kind of era, it's hard to get these kind of players behind closed doors. So that stuff's really cool. But if you have no interest, you won't like it at all. And if you have a fleeting interest, you probably won't like it. So
okay, well, I won't watch that then.
Nope.
Kevin, always a pleasure, mate. Let's over.
Matt, and you too.
Always an hour. Yeah, always a pleasure. That's over an hour, so we should definitely wrap it up. Hey, FIAWG, back in business, mate.
They said it wouldn't happen. Resurrected.